Practice Partners, or as many of my students call it, Practice Buddies, is a project that I have been incorporating into my piano studio courses over the last 5 years or so. Practicing piano can be a lonely activity. Hours in the practice room by yourself, no large ensemble specifically for your instrument, and even the act of performing is often on a stage by yourself, physically separated from your audience. So what I am trying to accomplish with Practice Partners is to create a sense of community within the piano studio, and to give my students the feeling that they are not alone in this endeavor to develop as pianists. Each semester, I divide my studio into small groups of 2, 3, or 4 students. These groups meet once a week at a time that works for them. I have found that groups of 3 work best so that scheduling is not onerous, but an illness or absence doesn't mean that the group can't meet. What the students do in their practice partner sessions are completely up to them. Sometimes they will perform for each other, maybe a whole piece, maybe just a segment where they have been struggling, or maybe an excerpt that has been freshly memorized. Or maybe it's just a stressful time of the year and the most helpful thing to do is to vent, or to help each other through an assignment, or perhaps to recommend classes that others might want to register in for the next semester. I don't direct the group activities at all, except to say at the beginning of the semester that how they use their practice partners sessions is a group decision. However, at the end of each semester, each student hands me a brief practice partners report for a small percentage of their final grade. Here, I ask my students to talk about what they took away from the group interactions, as well as what they feel they contributed, what they would like to do more or less of next semester in the sessions, and anything else they wish to share. Students generally tell me about how the group spent their sessions, what they played, what feedback they received, and maybe a little about how they felt about it. Most give me positive comments about the experience and that they learned a lot from their practice buddies, especially since the groups are mixed by year and level of experience. Many will say that they enjoyed getting to know members of the studio more closely and that they felt they bonded with their studio mates. With each semester comes a new set of practice partnerships. In my studio, I generally work with the same students over 3 or 4 years. So that means they work with 6 to 8 groups with some repetition of members. Each group brings with it a new dynamic. And with each semester, students seem to find their niche in the studio as a whole. Whether that is as a conversation starter, an organizer, a social convener, or a comforting listener. Certainly, the sense of community in my piano studio has grown immeasurably since instituting practice partners. And although I make small changes each year, the goal has remained the same: to give my students the space to find their individual voices in a family-like setting that emphasizes each person's importance to the studio as a whole.